You've probably seen it taking over the fitness world. Over 90,000 people competed last season alone. It's called HYROX, and it's being sold as the ultimate fitness race. But what does it really take to get through one of these things? Well, today, we're cutting through the hype and heading straight into the lab to break down the first ever scientific study on this monster of an event. Let's find out what's under the hood.
So is this actually the toughest fitness race on Earth? For the first time, we don't have to just go by what some guy gasping for air at the finish line says. Nope, the answer is in the data. And it shows us exactly what's happening to the human body deep inside the pain cave of a HYROX race.
So here's the game plan. First, we're going to break down what a HYROX race actually is. Then we'll dive into the brutal physical demands it puts on you. After that, we'll uncover the science-backed formula for a faster time, turn that science into a real training plan, and finally, look at why this whole thing matters for everybody, not just the elite competitors.
All right, let's get into it. Before we can figure out the science of how to crush a HYROX, we got to understand what it is. What makes this thing such a unique beast in the world of fitness?
So at its heart, HYROX is this crazy mix of running and functional fitness. But here's the key difference from something like CrossFit, where the workouts are always changing. HYROX is the same every single time. Every race, no matter where you are in the world, has the exact same 8 stations and the exact same 8 kilometers of running. That makes it a standardized, repeatable test of your all-around fitness. And believe me, test is the right word for it. The setup sounds pretty simple on paper. You run 1 kilometer, then you hit one of these 8 stations. Then you run another K, and you hit the next station, and this just keeps going, this relentless cycle of run, work, run, all the way from the ski erg through the brutal sled push and pull, and right up to the finish line with the one everyone dreads, the wall balls.
And check this out, because this right here is probably the most important thing to understand about the whole race. When you actually break down where the time goes, the running itself takes up nearly 60% of the total time. Those workout stations feel like they're killing you, but they only account for just under 40%. So, what does that tell us? It's simple. HYROX is, first and foremost, a runner's game. It's an endurance event.
So, let's take a trip inside that pain cave. This is where that first ever scientific study gives us a crystal clear picture of what this race is actually doing to your body. So for the average athlete in this study, the median finish time was 86.5 minutes. Think about that. That is almost an hour and a half of nonstop, high-intensity work.
And when I say high intensity, I'm not kidding. The athletes spent nearly 80% of the entire race with their heart rate absolutely pegged in the very hard zone. That's 90 to 100% of their max. This isn't some nice steady jog in the park. This is you redlining it with basically zero chance for your heart rate to ever come back down.
And this number shows you the metabolic price you pay. Peak blood lactate hit 8.5. Now to put that in perspective, that is way past the point where your legs start burning and basically screaming at you to stop. It tells us that your body is having to dig deep into its anaerobic energy systems, especially to get through those powerful workout stations.
And you know what? The athletes' feelings back this up completely. Even though running takes up way more time, they rated the workout stations as feeling significantly harder, hitting a perceived exertion of 18 out of 20. And the data shows the absolute peak for heart rate, lactate, and that feeling of exertion, it all happened during the very last station, the wall balls. That's the moment athletes truly hit their limit.
Okay, so we've established that this race is an absolute monster. But what actually makes somebody good at it? What's the difference between the people on the podium and everyone else? Well, for the very first time, science gives us 3 really clear answers.
So to figure this out, the researchers took all kinds of data from the athletes, their strength, their running experience, their body composition, and they crunched the numbers to see what was most closely linked to a fast finish time. So, what really mattered? Let's take a look. And the results are fascinating. 3 things were huge predictors of success. Number 1, and the biggest of all, was a higher VO2 max. That's basically a measure of how big your aerobic engine is. Next up, a lower body fat percentage and a higher weekly amount of endurance training were also strongly linked to faster times. But you know what wasn't a factor? Raw muscular strength. It showed no significant link to race time at all.
If you want to optimize your performance using hard science, subscribe to the Vitality algorithm. And hey, like this video to fuel the lab.
All right, this brings us to the part you've been waiting for, the practical stuff. Knowing what we now know about what it takes to be good at HYROX, how should you actually build your training plan? The science points to a really clear 3-part strategy. First, and most importantly, build your engine. Since VO2 max is king, that has to be your #1 priority. Second, you have to master what's called concurrent training,
That's mixing strength and endurance without letting one kill your progress in the other. And the study suggests high-intensity interval training, or HIIT, is a fantastic tool for this. And third, and this is so critical, you have to train the transitions. You've got to teach your body how to run efficiently when your muscles are already on fire from a workout.
But you know, what's so cool about this study is that it's not just about race strategy for competitors. HYROX, just as a way of training, has some massive potential for improving general health and even for training people in some of the most physically demanding jobs out there.
For the average person, training HYROX-style is a super efficient way to hit all the World Health Organization's fitness guidelines for both cardio and strength. Plus, it's not as technically complicated as some other types of functional fitness, so it's easier to get into. And for tactical professionals like soldiers or firefighters, it's pretty much a perfect training model. It builds the exact blend of strength, endurance, and work capacity they need for unpredictable, physically demanding tasks. So let's wrap up the key takeaways here. Number 1, HYROX is a running race, period. Your success isn't going to be determined by your 1-rep max, but by the size of your aerobic engine, your body composition, and your running habits. The winning strategy is all about building that engine and getting really good at running hard when you're already tired.
And that leaves us with one last big idea to chew on. As we're all looking for better ways to measure our health and physical readiness, could a standardized, accessible, and all-encompassing test like HYROX actually be the future benchmark for what it means to be fit?
HYROX is a running-focused HIIT modality that requires elite metabolic flexibility. So train your engine, drop the fat, and master the transition. Subscribe for more scientific deep dives. This is the Vitality Algorithm.